Hey, folks, I am Kevin Ioli. And yes, I'm going to give my next guest an opportunity to crow a little bit because I was smart enough to bet against him last week. I had Carl Frampton to win the fight. And of course, Jamel Herring defends the WBO Junior Lightweight Championship with maybe the best performance of his career. Jamel, how does it feel coming back after that unbelievable win you had?
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. We know I had a rough 2020, and to cap it off with a huge win like that. Well, to bring in the new year with a big win like with that we've seen this past weekend, it says a lot. It says that I still have a lot in the tank, and I'm just happy overall. I don't, you know me, Kev. I don't take things personal. I can understand why people would, choose Frampton over me. He had the experience. He seemed like he was the hungrier fighter because he wanted to make history. So of course, yeah, I knew what I was up against. It's hard. It's hard to defeat a man who has a big dream. And his dream was, to do something not only for himself but for his country. So I had to somehow topple that in terms of getting the victory.
It was an amazing performance. The reason that I kind of was favored him, when the fight was made and when we were talking about it in 2020, I thought, hey, it's a 50-50 fight, could go either way. Your performance against the kendo, I kind of like looked at it and go, I wonder if this is we're starting to see Jamel, hit the slide a little bit, and you kind of turned it around. Looking back on that kendo fight, was it A, his tactics, and B, maybe COVID? How many times you had COVID in a row that kind of contributed to that performance?
I would definitely say COVID played a huge role in that. Like I just wasn't. I couldn't even react well to certain shots. Like my body wasn't reacting well. It reminds you also, I believe overtraining probably played a factor as well because for the Kendo fight, I started training in like April with my team. And, originally the fight was scheduled for maybe the beginning, July 2nd. And then it got pushed back to July 14th. And then it got pushed back 6 weeks after that. So, and when I was sick, I couldn't go home. And I had an obligation still to make weight and still train for that fight. So imagine trying to, run by yourself because I can't be around my team, run and try to maintain weight.
Right.
While you're dealing with COVID. It was hell. But I thought, having a champion mentality, I thought I was doing the right thing. And it was like, maybe it wasn't the right thing because after everything that happened and the criticism I took, I was kind of like, taken back. But when I went home, Kevin, I just took time away and just started enjoying life again. And then I got that hunger back. And while I was at home, I was recovering and, feeling like myself again. And that's what brought out the best of me that you've seen this past weekend.
When you were in the locker room before the fight, which was in Dubai, at Caesar's Palace in Dubai, could you tell that it was going to be a different Jamel that walked into the ring that night? Did you know that you're a lot better than you had been the last time around?
Oh yeah, I mean, from the moment that I landed in Dubai, I knew that okay, I'm here for a reason. I didn't just come here just for sightseeing or a vacation. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to redeem myself. And I remember you even ask one of my trainers, Red Spikes. He thought I was too calm in the back because I was too calm and relaxed. Like I would just, I was quiet. I wasn't saying much. I was warming up, and I was getting my rhythm in the back. But they thought they was looking at me like, he's a little too calm. Is he all right? And they kept everyone kept asking me if I was okay, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like I was just getting in my mental state of mind. Even before the ring walk, I was just saying to myself, "Okay, Mel, this is what we worked for. You know what you did everything in camp that you could possibly do to get yourself prepared for this moment. Now all we had to do is just carry out the plan and take care of business."
You're in one of the best weight classes in boxing, a lot of tremendous fighters in that division. And the thing that I hate the most in boxing, we don't have to worry about with this group because we have this side of the street BS that happens a lot of times. Yeah. And in the 130-pound division, you have Oscar Valdez with top rank, you have Shakur Stevenson with top rank, you have Jamel Herring with top rank. So I would imagine that we're going to see some pretty big fights coming up. What is the plan for you? Is Valdez next on your hit list?
That's the main priority for me is Valdez. I know Shakur is my mandatory, and there's nothing against Shakur, but if you have the opportunity to not only win another world championship, but possibly become the lineal world champion, why not? And I believe the Valdez fight would do a lot more for my career. It's not saying that, a fight with Shakur isn't big, but I believe that in terms of accolades and credentials, Oscar Valdez just has more to offer right now, at least. And you know, you see the reception, Kevin. I mean, I went from being a guy that people didn't give much faith into, but now I'm the guy that said that people are like, they want to see that fight. They want to see champion versus champion, and that right there is, for me, is an honor because I don't care what anyone says. When you're in this sport, every fighter should want to have that moment where people want to see them in the big fights. In the big fights, I don't care for the whole. I don't care the crap people will say. Oh, this doesn't pay enough or that. I'm not into that because I have that old school mentality. I believe the big fights will reward you financially well anyway. But so if I have the opportunity, because like you pointed out, we live in an era where everyone is hard to make the big fights as it is with this side and that side. If I have the opportunity with a guy who expressed that he wants to fight me and I have the same mutual respect for him and I want to make the fight as well, why not go for it?
I think the thing that's fascinating about this, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Paco Valcarcel, the president of the WBO. You hold their title. You may get stripped for fighting another champion, right? And that's so you would give up a belt to get a belt. And I think that's fascinating. Guys hold on to those belts, especially when they just have one, right? Like you do, right? They hold on to those belts and don't let go, and you have to pry it out of their dead hands almost. You may willingly make the decision to say, hey, you know what? I'll surrender this one to be able to go after that one. The significance of you just outlined. Was it is it a hard call to make if the WBO says you have to fight Shakur or give up the belt? Is it a hard call to make?
Oh, I mean, like you said, we work hard for those titles, and I want to say, I want to thank guys like Paco and then everyone, basically my WBO family, because they they gave me an opportunity. Remember when I fought Ito, I wasn't the mandatory. They gave me that opening to to live out my dream. And I want to thank Paco and the WBO for that. They gave me my first world title, so that'll always be near and dear to my heart. But at the same time, as a fighter, as a real fighter, I'm also fighting for legacy. And yes, there will be another world title online that I could potentially grab in the WBC. But like I've been mentioning since the Frampton victory, I want that lineal world title. Kevin, everyone can't get that lineal world title, and that lineal world championship clearly states that you're number one when you get it. We live in a era of boxing where there's so many world titles out there. People always argue who's the best in that certain division. But when you have that lineal title on the line and you win it, that kind of cancels out all of that mess. And I feel like if I had the opportunity to go for it, why not? And also, I feel like if I can potentially fight Oscar Valdez and also put on a great performance that I did with Frampton, for a guy who's had a hard 2020, you got to say that puts me in the running for maybe fight of the year.
That's early, but yeah, you would certainly get that if you pulled that.
Even if I don't win the award, but just to be mentioned, nominated for fight of the year, that says a lot for where I came from since the Dennis Shalikov fight. That just shows you that I'm that throwback fighter where you don't have to keep that O in order to go out there and do great things in your career. So now, and I always want to symbolize that for everyone out there that you could be the underdog, but you can still have a Cinderella story.
Jamel, like if you were the commissioner of boxing, what do you say to somebody like Shakur Stevenson, who is arguably, one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world? I had him up until recently in my top 10 pound for pound, just because I thought he was such a fantastic talent. I put Chocolatito in after his last fight, but he's right there in my mind on the borderline. And I saw Shakur at the fight when Oscar Valdez knocked out Burchell, and he was desperate to fight Valdez. And now I saw he tweeted to you the other day, okay, I need to fight you to get to get to Valdez, and he's going to get shot out on 2 big fights. You have been through a lot in your career. You were the captain of the U.S. Olympic team. I'm sure people came to you and asked you questions. What do you say to a guy like Shakur, who is on top of the world, maybe the most talented 130 pounder out there? What do you say to him about why he's not getting the opportunity right now?
It's not so much of why, because I respect his hunger. He has, he's actually one of the. If you look at it, he's actually one of the young champions that actually wants to face, the big competition now. If you really look around, other than Teofimo Lopez, who had the best win of his career with against Lomachenko, Shakur is like one of the only guys out there who actually, wants to fight the champions. I mean, we look around, we see what we're going through with Ryan Garcia, who I felt that, he should have taken that Devin Haney opportunity right off the bat. But like Shakur, he's a total opposite. He wants he wants to fight everybody. I'm not mad at that.
Right.
You expect that out of a young champion. But all I can say is, for him, in his case, he at least has time on his side. You know what I mean? Those opportunities, more opportunities will come, towards Shakur's way, or either way. If he doesn't get this fight or not, they're going to come because he has the talent and he's definitely not slowing down by far. If anything, he'll get better with time. So, he has time, and like I said, I wish him the best. But I mean, I tell him just to keep doing what he's doing. If anything, I wouldn't tell him to stop anything. Just keep doing. Hey, keep pressing for whoever. That's what great champions do.
I want to, I go back to what I brought up at the top, where I mentioned that some of the fighters at top rank has that are at 130. One guy that I didn't mention is Lomachenko, who is at 135, but certainly I think is at his best at 130, maybe even at featherweight, right? I mean, that's, he's a small guy. Would he be on your radar too? In other words, I'm getting you to go way far ahead here, and I know it's kind of rough, but like, when you look at it, I know you're a guy that respects boxing history and you think of legacy. If you go out there and you beat, Frampton and Valdez and Stevenson and somebody like Lomachenko, I mean, you're almost putting yourself in the Hall of Fame with something like that.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say is right there. That's why I wanted to start with Frampton. Like Kevin, I always go back to the old school mindset. You won the world title, great. But they always say you're not considered a world champion until what? So you successfully defend the world championship. And I actually take pride in knowing that my first defense came against undefeated young, 10-year difference now, young undefeated Lamont Roach, who I want to see bounce back. I mean, he did bounce back with a victory, but I want to see eventually win a world title himself. Because if you really look at it, when you beat these guys, you instead of wanting to see their decline, you actually want to see them do well because it looks
makes you look better.
Like it looks good on your resume at the end. But okay, we got that out the way. Then it comes down to, all right, well, now it's time to get those names in your resume to start building your own legacy. And that's why I was going for guys like, the Bichelts and end up landing with Carl Frampton, who has, a lot more accolades on his resume than I did. So, you want to fight these names that you just mentioned that's going to, season your resume to potentially even get you just in that conversation of, Hall of Fame. And think about it. For me to be able to do all those great things so late in my career, that would be huge, and that would say a lot.
You're what, 35 now? 35, yeah.
35 going on 25.
Exactly. Well, the way you fought on Saturday, I would have said you might have been 25. Let's just wrap up with this. I think it's not a coincidence that your career turnaround comes when you get into that camp with Bomac. And he's a guy who, a lot of people are talking about Eddie Reynoso as the best trainer in the world. And I think Eddie, given what he's done, deserves that accolade right now. But what has Bomac meant to you and Brian McIntyre, and what has he done to make you a different fighter?
Womack is, I wouldn't even say so much of a father figure. I think he's more like a brother, like that, just that big brother who really wants to see you just do well. And same goes for Terrence Crawford, Red Spikes, Esau Diegas, Jimmy Belt. That environment is more family. It's more family than business. And just watching the way Terrence carries himself. has played a huge part of my on the way I carry myself when people aren't watching. You know, Bud doesn't drink. Never has had a drink. Doesn't like the smell or anything with alcohol. And with me being older, you have to learn how to take care of your body as well a lot better. And his lifestyle has kind of grew on me. And I come from the old school mindset again. I remember being a prospect and talking to guys like Bernard Hopkins. Remember, Bernard Hopkins had his biggest win at 35 against Felix Trinidad.
Yeah.
Here I am, 35.
People thought he was done, right?
Yeah, people thought he was gonna get killed by people. It's funny when people look at that fight, like, oh, Felix got murdered in the fight, but people forget during that time, people thought that Trinidad was gonna just go out there because in the tournament he was knocking out everybody. You see, he did the jockey, so they thought he was gonna do the same effect with Hopkins, who was older, and he had the most dominating and one of the best wins of his career. And here I am, pretty much in the same boat. But I like I said, you have to now. I always tell people not only you have to train hard, but you have to live the right lifestyle for boxing. You have to live the sport. And I take the sport very seriously. Because I respect it, and I respect what the greats did before I did. One of my favorite fighters, who I also want to mention, is Winky Wright. Winky Wright's another guy who had a late
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and became a Hall of Famer. He had to force his way in the door, and what he did, he took full advantage of the opportunities, and that's how I look at the situation with Oscar Valdez. They give me the opportunity, you best believe I'm going to take full advantage of it, and I have a great team behind me. And let's be honest, that makes it what you mentioned with Eddie Reynoso and Bomac. That's a great story right there.
Right.
And Oscar has a Canelo behind him. I have a Crawford behind me, and then we have Reynoso and McIntyre. That's a great story right there. And I think that with that fight, that could potentially put both me and Oscar in the conversation for either Fight of the Year and Fight of the Year. So, like I said, it's just a no-brainer that's a big fight that I feel like I must make.
You're getting me fired up. Where can I put my money down to see this fight?
Hey, just talk to Bob and Todd in the gang. I'm pretty sure they're getting hit from all ends about making the fight as well.
Well, champ Jamel Herring, congratulations on a tremendous performance. I won't dodge again. I wish you the best, and I hope to see you in the ring against Oscar Valdez soon.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, brother.